Hello everybody, this is Serge with FHT Sports, and we are about an hour away from the beginning of the NHL playoffs. Our colleagues, Darren and Jake, made their predictions yesterday, and I'm going to make my predictions today. Some of these predictions you might not agree with. Some of these teams, they might be your teams and I might not like them. You know, the Stanley Cup playoffs are not popularity contests. It's a 2-month endurance, 2 months of intense war on the ice. And, you know, typically, unlike other sports, you're not going to see the favorite win all the time. You know, basketball, it's a good sport, but we know at the end of the day, there's only a couple of teams that can win it this year. In hockey, there's 16 teams in the playoffs, and you could see any one of those 16 teams win the Stanley Cup this year. All right, let's start. We're going to start off in the Eastern Conference. The first series we're looking at right now is Tampa Bay Lightning and the New Jersey Devils. Tampa Bay is going in as the #1 seed against the New Jersey Devils, who took quite a long time to finalize that last playoff spot, but they got there. They have a very good team, young team. They made a couple of moves at the deadline, picked up a couple of scorers. Michael Grabner. You know, it's a team that I can see that will do well. However, Tampa is just too strong. The Tampa Bay Lightning have too many weapons. They got the best scorer in the league, and it's not even Stamkos. Kucherov had a phenomenal year. Steven Stamkos, obviously. They've added great players on the back end. We like to call it, Tampa is like, you know, if you're from New York and you live in New York, a lot of these people, when they retire, move down to Florida. And this is what's happened with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have 6 ex-Rangers on their team. They got a great coach. And the one thing you need in the NHL playoffs to go far is a great goalie. And they got a great goalie in Vasilevsky. So Tampa Bay Lightning, we're going to talk about them again when we get to the second round. But we'll like Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games. Not going to be a sweep, but the Devils will get 1 game. Tampa Bay Lightning will win that series in 5 games. Next, we're going to go over to the Washington Capitals and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets had a weird year. They were up and down and down and up, and they had a great start, and they had a really bad streak where they lost a bunch of games. They finished the season very strong to solidify a solid playoff spot, and they faced off against the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals are an interesting team. They have always had a great regular season. Led by their superstar, probably one of the best goal scorers in the history of the game, Alex Ovechkin. But when it comes down to the playoffs, something happens. They can't get by their biggest rival, the Pittsburgh Penguins, which we'll get to in a minute. They just can't get to that next stage. However, I think the Washington Capitals, in a close series, are going to get by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I like the Capitals, and I like the Capitals in 6 games. Next, we have an interesting series, the Battle of Pennsylvania. It's not a secret. I'm not a big fan of the 2-time defending champion Pittsburgh Penguins. However, you know, in this matchup, as much as I want to see Philadelphia win, Pittsburgh is not going to get Philadelphia is not going to get by Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had just too many weapons, led by their 3 high-end superstar players, Crosby, Malkin, and Phil Kessel. The one key to beating this team is, if you look at their team, they got an amazing power play. I think Phil Kessel led the league in power play goals, or was very close to it. They're a team. If you take a penalty, if they get a power play on you, they're gonna bury you. But I like the Penguins to win this series in 5 games. The final series in the East is obviously my team. We'll be playing the Boston Bruins. This is going to be an epic battle. As a Leaf fan, 2013, now it's 5 years ago, one of the worst, you know, the days as a fan of Toronto Maple Leafs was Game 7, first round, Toronto Maple Leafs came back. They were down 3-1. They fought back, forced a Game 7. They were up 4-1. 4-1 with about 9.5 minutes to go. So you figure, you're up 4-1, 3-goal lead, Game 7. Let's book a champagne. Let's book our next series. And it did not happen. Yeah, it was a sad, sad day to be a Leaf fan that day. We were still in shock. It's been 5 years. We still haven't gotten over that. We lost that series. We lost that game after blowing a 4-1 lead in the third period in overtime. Now, the good news is a lot of the principals on that team are not with us anymore. Reimer was the goalie, Dion Phaneuf, Phil Kessel. These were the principals of the team. Now we have guys like Matthews, Nylander, Marner. Now Matthews and Marner did not even have their driver's license back in 2013. So, it's not the same team. We got a better coach. Mike Babcock, I believe, is the best coach in the NHL. He has this team ready. I think Toronto's going to win. And Toronto's going to win this one easy. 5 games is my prediction. Freddie Anderson's had a career year. He broke the record for most wins as a Leaf goaltender. When you break a record on a team that has a 100-year history, that is something. So it is interesting. It's going to be a great series. There's 3 principals on that team that's going to be hard. Marchand, Bergeron, Pasternak. Brad Marchand is probably the dirtiest player in the NHL, and let's hope he doesn't pull up anything in this series because, even though he's a dirty player, he's a great player, but he will be stopped. Toronto Maple Leafs will win in 5. Let's move over to the Western Conference. So just to recap, we got Tampa, Toronto, Washington, and Pittsburgh to come out of the first round. We go to the Western Conference. First series, Nashville, Colorado. Unfortunately, this is a mismatch. Colorado has a decent team. Colorado struggled. They basically backed into the playoffs. They almost, one of the biggest games of the year, and they didn't win. There's 2 games to go against the second last game. They had a great career year from Nathan McKinnon. They were, again, up and down. They had like a 10-game winning and losing streaks all around. And at the end of the day, Nashville just too strong. Nashville just missed out on the Stanley Cup last year. They got a phenomenal team. You're going to see a lot of this team in the playoffs. They're going to, spoiler alert, they are going to the Stanley Cup final. No one's going to stop Nashville on the Western side anyway. And we like Nashville to win. And we like Nashville to win in 4 games. If we can pick them in 3, we'd pick them in 3 because that's how much better they are than the Colorado Avalanche. The Nashville Predators will come out of that series. It's not going to be close. I don't see Colorado even sniffing a victory in that series. So great atmosphere. Nashville home advantage is huge, but they're not going to need. They could play this game in Afghanistan. Doesn't matter. Nashville is going to win. Then I got two upsets coming your way. Okay. The next series, this one might shock a lot of people. Winnipeg and Minnesota. Winnipeg had a phenomenal year, one of the only 2 Canadian teams in the playoffs. You got Toronto on the East and Winnipeg on the West. They are playing Minnesota. On paper, you would think that Winnipeg is going to win this game. However, I see Minnesota a lot more experience in the playoffs from their principal players anyway. They have a great goaltender, Devon Dubnyk, phenomenal goalie. Not that Hellebuck hasn't had a great year. He has. Patrick Laine, obviously, and, they pick up Stastny. They got a great back end, Bufflin, and the rest of them. There's going to be upsets this year. The favorites never win. The favorites win, but they never always win. So this is an upset. I am calling it. I am going out on a limb. Minnesota will win this series, and Minnesota will win it in 6 games. The next upset, and then there's 2 sides to this one. Vegas, Los Angeles. A lot of people, think Vegas is going to win, and people are calling LA. Vegas, just talking about Vegas at this time of the year is just a shock. Back in September, even if they sniffed the playoff, and we would have said you're crazy. Vegas is an expansion team. They don't have any established players other than, you know, a couple of guys like Neil and obviously their goalie. But yeah, they had an amazing year. They had an amazing, you know, their crowd, their home games. You know, I went to a Vegas game, and it's just a different experience out there. And they play great hockey. However, this is the playoffs. The playoffs is a different breed. Okay, this is not a regular season where you can just, oh yeah, we're gonna go in and play our game. No. The Los Angeles Kings, top to bottom, are an experienced team to no end. They've been through this before. They've come into the Stanley Cup. This core team, like Doughty and Kopitar and Quake, and they've come in and they've won the Stanley Cup. They are a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. Some teams don't do well in the regular season, like you know some teams like LA who came in and won the cup, and then there's teams that do great in the regular season, like Washington and Vegas. And Vegas is not going to beat the Los Angeles Kings. I'm sorry to tell you guys. They do, okay, you know, we talk about experience. Yes, they have, you know, a Stanley Cup winning goaltender who has a ton of experience, but there's another Stanley Cup winning goaltender on the other end. This is a team that doesn't give up many goals. The Los Angeles Kings are a solid playoff team, and led by, I believe, one of the top, I want to say top 3 goalies in the league. When he's on his game, he's probably the best goalie in the league. He's not a huge guy. He's not a conventional guy. He's just a great goaltender. The best American goaltender out there anyway. Jonathan Quick. They're going to win this series. It's going to shock a lot of people. It's not going to be a long series. Vegas will get a win at home. Maybe the first or the second game. They might even win tonight. But they're not going to... Tonight, the atmosphere might carry them to a win. But they're not going to win anymore after that. So... Los Angeles Kings in 5. That's right. The last series we have in the West is Anaheim and San Jose. This is a classic California matchup. They've met many a times in the playoffs. And Northern California, we live in Central California, so we got a lot of fans from both teams. San Jose in the north, Anaheim in the south, as far as south as you can go almost. You know, not that, but this is going to be an epic battle. Both teams, you know, don't like each other. They know each other very well. They play a ton against each other. This one is going to be the closest series I see in the first round. It is maybe a coin flip, you can say, but at the end of the day, the difference in this series is going to be Evander Kane. That was, you know, not a huge fan of Evander Kane, you know, some of the stuff that he's done in Winnipeg and Buffalo, but I think he's going to be the difference maker in the series. He's been a great pickup. San Jose wins this in a close one, 7-game series. All right, so let's recap. In the West, we've got Nashville in 4. We got the big upset, the biggest upset of the playoffs. Minnesota will beat Winnipeg. Sorry, our friend Jay Johnson, who's from Winnipeg. I apologize. Not happening this year, Jay. Sorry, you gotta wait a few more years. And then we got Vegas and LA. We got LA in 5. And Anaheim, San Jose, the Battle of California. San Jose is going to come out of that one. All right, let's go to the second round. In the East, we have Washington and Pittsburgh. You know, how many times has Washington and Pittsburgh played? How many times have we seen Ovechkin against Crosby? We know the backstory. We know they don't like each other. Both teams hate each other. This will be a great series. You know, it's going to be back and forth. It's going to come down to, you know, who can deliver. And I think Alex Ovechkin is going to deliver in this series. So we're picking Washington. However, it's going to go long. It's going to go 7 games. So Washington Capitals in 7 games. Now Toronto, Tampa Bay. Of course, you know, I'm going to be biased here, and don't have to be objective. It is my prediction, right? So Toronto, Tampa Bay. It's going to be again. Toronto last year took Washington to the brink. Like, they had 5 overtimes, and it was an amazing series that could have gone either way for a team full of teenagers last year. It's another year of experience. Like I said, Freddie Anderson, look at his numbers. One of the top save percentage, one of the top, you know, he faced a lot of shots. The guy can win. We're very happy with Freddie Anderson in the net. An extra year of experience in the playoffs on the back end from guys like Gardner and Riley and, you know, Zaitsev and Polak. Well, not Polak, but whatever. You know who I'm talking about. we can score goals. This team's going to score a lot of goals. Toronto-Tampa Bay is going to be a great series. However, Toronto's going to win this series. And Toronto's going to win this series in 6 games. So we got Washington and Toronto. Okay? Washington and Toronto in the semifinals. That's what we have in the East. Let's go to the Western bracket. We got Nashville against Minnesota. Like I said, Minnesota, yes, they're going to have a huge upset in the first round, but that's just going to, it's not going to carry on through Nashville. Nashville's just too strong. Like, they're just, it's a team that's extremely strong. Not happening, unfortunately, for the Minnesota fans out there. And, you know, Nashville has a great fan base. So Nashville is going to take this, and Nashville, it's going to be a lot more difficult than the Colorado series, but Nashville will win. Not going to be a lot of scoring I see in this series. It's going to be very low scoring. We're going to go with Nashville, however, and we're going to go with 6 games, okay? And then after one Battle of California, we're going to have another Battle of California, San Jose and LA. Again, Northern California against Southern California. San Jose's come close. San Jose has been a great regular season team. San Jose came close, made the Stanley Cup final a couple of years ago and fell to the Penguins, but they're looking good right now. And again, this is going to be a battle. San Jose, they're going to fight Anaheim for 7 games, and I see them fighting LA again for 7 games. So we see San Jose coming out of the... so basically, San Jose is going to play their first 2 rounds not having to travel outside of California. That might come into play later. So yeah, so San Jose will beat the LA Kings, even though the LA Kings are going to upset. See, if you notice, if a teammate has a huge upset, I don't see that, you know, because it's like a big letdown. Like, you upset the big favorite, you come back, and now you might be a favorite. You're not going to win. So San Jose in 7 games again. All right, San Jose, Nashville in the West, and then we got Toronto and Washington. Toronto and Washington in the East. So what happened last year? Toronto hadn't made the playoffs in quite a while. Well, 2013. What happened with Washington was every goal, it seemed like every game went into overtime. It went both ways, 5 overtime games, but Washington came out on top. But this year, Toronto is a better team. Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Austin Matthews, 3 of the top scorers as a trio. Nazem Kadri's had a great year, and a great addition, Patrick Marleau. Now, that's not even including JVR. JVR had a phenomenal year, you know, over 30, 35 goals. This is a well-balanced top 6 attack, a decent defense. Yes, they're not the best defense in the league, but neither is Washington. And I think our goalie is going to be the difference here. Toronto wins this series in 6 games. The Toronto Maple Leafs, ladies and gentlemen, are going to the Stanley Cup final. Can you believe that? They are. All right? So 6 games, Toronto now. Nashville, San Jose, as we gave you the spoiler alert a few minutes ago, Nashville is going to make this. Nashville is going to make the Stanley Cup Finals. So they're going to be, San Jose is going to be tired. These 2 series against Anaheim and LA is going to take a lot out of them. However, I still think they'll make it a close series. It might even go the distance. I want to say it's going to go 7. You know what? I think it's going to go 7. It is going to go 7. So let's see what's going to happen here. Nashville's going to beat San Jose in 7 games. And now, who's in the Stanley Cup Finals? Nashville? Memphis? Country music? You know, against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Original 6. Have not won a Stanley Cup since 1967. You guys know how long that is? I bet you most of you that are watching were not even born in 1967. Yeah, that's a long time. It's 51 years ago. I never got to see my team ever win a Stanley Cup. We did go to a few semifinals back in the days of, you know, Doug Gilmour. Then we did it again with Matt Sundin, but we never got to that next stage. We are there. A lot of good things have to happen. We have to get some good goaltending from Freddie Anderson, but Toronto against Nashville. And I have the reveal. I'm going to tell you guys, revealing the jersey of the Stanley Cup champions, okay? Again, this might be a little of a shock. that I'm going with this. But yeah, these are your Stanley Cup champions this year, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes, finally, the drought is over. Austin Matthews will lead this team to the Stanley Cup final. Now, take my predictions with a grain of salt. A lot of it is for entertainment purposes. Do not go betting your hard-earned dollars on it. This is a fun 2 months. We're going to have hockey almost every day for the next 2 months. It's going to be an amazing time. Put some comments on the video. Tell me who you think is going to win. Send us some responses. You know, we'll take everything that you have to throw at us. Oh, I didn't tell you how many games Toronto's going to beat Nashville in. Yes. It's not going to go 7. You know why it's not going to go 7? Because I cannot handle a Game 7 Stanley Cup final with Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. No, I don't even know if I can watch that. You know, we're not having 7 games. 6 games. However, the 6th game will be an overtime game, and it'll be at home. It will be at home, and the winner of that goal will be Nazem Kadri. He will score the Stanley Cup winner in overtime. The city will go nuts. Ironically, I'm gonna be there during this time of the year. We have a trip booked, and we will be in Toronto. Hopefully, we'll be partying. If not, we will be crying. Maybe we're crying in 2 weeks when they get eliminated by Boston. It could happen. You know, it could all happen. However, this has been Serge Bogosian with FHT Sports. My predictions, mostly in fun. You know, we're trying to have a little bit of fun with this. Yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the next Stanley Cup champions. You heard it here. We'll be back after the first round. We'll sit down with Darren and Jake to see who did better, and then we'll follow up with it. Maybe we'll have to readjust some of our picks for the second round, but we will have this video. It's right now 3:30 in the Pacific time zone. We're a half hour away from the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs to start. And there you have it. Serge Bogosian signing off FHT Sports. Go Leafs go. Go Sharks go. Go Ducks go. Go Pens go. Whoever your team is, make sure you follow them, and make sure you subscribe to this. Share this video. Make sure it gets out there, and have fun with it. Thank you very much. This is Serge signing off FHT Sports.